engineering. And as I've told you in the very beginning at the inaugural session, that Dr. Arshad has the specialization in environmental engineering. His research interest include water treatment, biological wastewater treatment processes, anaerobic treatment, advanced oxidation process. His doctoral research focused on removing
I think sir got disconnected.
No, sir, you are not
Yes.
audible.
Sir आप start करिए sir, आप start करिए
Okay,
sir.
okay. So, am I audible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
And you can see my slides also.
Yes, sir.
Slide is visible
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
The slide is visual.
and it is moving also.
Yeah, it's moving.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
okay. Now I request all the participants to mute yourself. And before starting my presentation, I would like to give a brief introduction. Professor Naseem Saab was introducing me. I think there is some network issue, so he got disconnected. My name is Dr. Arshad Husain, and I'm working as an associate professor in civil engineering at Aligarh Muslim University. I'm also looking after the work of program coordinator of the National Service Scheme unit of Aligarh Muslim University, as well as the job of social service secretary of the social service committee of the AMU. So the topic I will be presenting before you is very much relevant to your course. It is fostering sustainable communities, the role of higher education in environmental stewardship and civic engagement. So I'll try to be very much specific and be focused on the topic uh, pertaining to the effect of environmental pollution as it is having on our very existence, on our day-to-day life, on our health, and how as normal persons, as the citizens of this globe, of this earth, we can fight with this pollution to minimize the effect on human health. So we'll start off with this first slide, which says that the vision of a sustainable world by the year 2060. So there have been endeavors not only in the United Nations Environment Program, the Copenhagen Summit that we held in Denmark a few years ago, in which more than 180 countries were signatories, including India, where we have set up targets to make this world a sustainable one. So, what is the meaning of making it a sustainable world by the year 2060? It means bringing about a change that we are calling as the transition in our activities, in our behavior, in our lifestyle, in our attitude, making environment a better place to live in, not only for us, the human beings, but also all the living beings, including animals, plants, and a wide variety of insects, birds, etc. So, what is the meaning of setting up target like this? We are living in 2024 now, and we are about say 26 years away from the 2060. So, what is the meaning of the term sustainability, and what is the meaning of the term sustainable development that we are talking about? So, to understand in a simple language, sustainability means capacity of the earth's natural systems and human cultural systems to survive, to flourish, and to adapt into a very long-term future. So in the subsequent slides, we will try to understand what is the meaning of these different terms. What is the meaning of Earth's natural systems. What is the meaning of being surviving and flourishing and adapting to a longer duration of time? So here we discuss the three basic principles of sustainability. Sustainability basically means uh, designing or working for having a better future by not compromising with the normal development at the present. And this development can be defined in terms of fiscal development, in terms of gross domestic product, that is GDP growth, in terms of industrial development, and in terms of infrastructure development. So as you know that all human activities are bringing about pollution in the different ecosystem components of the earth. So if we want to be sustainable, we have to follow these three basic principles of sustainability. The first one is that we have to sustain the basic natural capital of the earth. In the natural capital, there are certain resources. The basic resource is the solar energy, the heat energy coming with the sun, and then the ecosystem components, including air, water, soil, in which pollution is adding up, is increasing every passing day. Then the energy requirement, how we are fulfilling it. If we are producing this energy by the conventional methods, again, it creates pollution. And we are utilizing minerals, which we call as having a limited resources on the earth. So what will happen after these minerals, after these natural resources have been done away with? So we have to think about the future, and when we think about the future, we want to conserve this natural capital. We can think about how we can affect our lives by reducing our dependency on the natural resources and the natural services provided by the earth. So one aspect is control of population. We will talk about this. Nutrient recycling, a very important part uh, on the ecosystem maintenance and for agricultural production, which is necessary for providing food to increasing population. Then this climate change, which is visible around the globe now, we will be talking about this, and all these things related to pollution and how to control pollution, how to reduce the waste, whether it may be solid waste or waste uh, in water or air pollution, then conservation of biodiversity, and ultimately pest and disease control. So all these aspects are interrelated. When we want to achieve sustainability, we have to think about all these aspects. So discussing some basic terms here. What is environment? Environment is everything that is around us. हिंदी में हिंदी में इसको कहते हैं पर्यावरण, उर्दू में कहते हैं माहौलियात. So environment is everything that is not only me but all around us. Somebody's mic is open. I request you, please mute yourself. Somebody's mic is open. Please mute yourself. Thank you. So environmental science is an interdisciplinary science which requires knowledge and information of different subjects or different areas of natural sciences, some areas of social sciences and humanities. So here in this slide we can see in a holistic say view of the knowledge of different subjects necessary for environmental science and studies. So biology, ecology, chemistry, physics and geology, geography from science, then anthropology, demography, economics, political science, and some knowledge about the basic ethics, values, philosophy and religion. So environmental science, environmental studies is basically about all these subjects. So a question comes to our mind, what do we learn in environmental science or what environmental studies? So we talk about the Earth's life support system, that is the ecosystem components in which we thrive, in which we live, air, water, soil, and all the life forms that are existing on Earth, defined and put in the category of biosphere. So we study how the environment affects us and how we can learn to live more sustainably. So nature works for the betterment of all the life forms. Again, somebody's mic is open. Please mute yourself. Okay, thank you. किसी का माइक खुला हुआ है, बंद कर देंगे. So we have to learn to deal with the environmental problems. So what basically I'll be discussing with you in this lecture is how to deal with the environmental problems. So we were talking about the nature's survival strategies following the three basic principles of sustainability we were just talking about, that the human beings and the biodiversity's dependence on solar energy. So solar energy is the basic form of all energies on earth, and you must have studied in school the principle of conservation of energy, which says that energy can neither be created nor destroyed, but it can be transformed from one form into another form. So what the basic transformation on earth, which is the most important part of providing food for the living beings, is the process of photosynthesis, which is undertaken by the plants in their leaves, where carbohydrates, fats, proteins are synthesized by the leaves of the trees, for which chlorophyll, a green coloring pigment, is necessary. Water from the roots of the plant is necessary. Minerals are necessary, and the sunlight is also a necessary component. So this solar energy that the sun is providing us, it is responsible for this photosynthesis, without which no food can be grown in the agricultural fields. It may be food grains, it may be vegetables, it may be fruits, all are plant products and the basic source of all food on earth. So the dependency on solar energy is largely because of this requirement. Then why biodiversity is important for environmental consciousness and for maintaining the food chain on the food web on the earth, because one species dependent on the another species for food. So if the number of one species becomes more drastically uh, with respect to the other species, there might be a burden on the resources, due to which scarcity of food for one species can take place, which results in the endangerment to the some species. Some species have already become extinct. We already talk about the mammoths and the dinosaurs that used to thrive on the earth, and now they have completely been wiped out. There have been different theories uh, why the extinction of these animals took place on earth. Some people talk about the Big Bang theory. Some other people talk about the ice age that took place on the earth. Some other talk about some meteor or an asteroid striking the earth. And as per the Charles Darwin theory of evolution, uh, survival of the fittest is the best term that we can define in terms of the survival strategies for different species. The species which is able to change itself or adapt with the changing environment, with the changing conditions, the food availability, habitat, and so on, will be able to survive, and the others will become extinct or are in the danger of becoming extinct. So that is why the importance of every species. The chemical cycling we have been talking about, or the nutrient cycle, we also call as the biogeochemical cycle, where the two basic nutrients required for plant growth, nitrogen and phosphorus. So this nitrogen is available, uh, made available rather to the soil by a process called fixation of nitrogen. You know that air is a mixture of gases in which about 78 to 79% is nitrogen gas. So, with the help of certain bacteria like Pseudomonas and other category of bacteria, nitrogen fixing bacteria, these bacteria they fix the nitrogen converted into nitrites and nitrates in the soil, which are responsible for providing this essential mineral for plant growth. Similarly, phosphorus is also another mineral that is essential for plant growth. So the recycling of all these important elements, minerals, and water, which is required for plant growth, are called biogeochemical cycles. So here is the slide. You can see that I was talking about the dinosaurs that disappeared from the surface of the earth about some 65 million years ago. And if you go back to the history, the first simple cells appeared about 3.5 billion years ago. Then the multicellular life appeared about 1 billion years ago, and the land plants, the major category, appeared about 475 million years ago. Then the first man, or the early man that we define as the Homo sapiens, arrived about some 200,000 years ago. That is what we study in history. But relating the historical aspect of development of biodiversity and endangerment to some species related to these three basic principles of sustainability, that if we want to be sustainable, we have to discuss about the role of solar energy, the role of chemical cycling, and the role of biodiversity conservation. How we can maintain it with the human development that is taking place at a fast rate. So sustainability has certain key components. One is the natural capital we are talking about. It is supported by the solar energy, which is called the solar capital. Then we can divide natural capital into two parts, natural resources and natural services. So the human beings degrade this natural capital, and we need certain scientific and engineering solutions to maintain, to obtain, or to arrive at environmental sustainability that we are talking about. So natural capital, as we have discussed, is a sum of natural resources and natural services. So what are natural resources? You can put it into different categories. Uh, Non-renewable minerals uh, found below the surface of the earth, and we take these to metallurgical industries to purify them and convert them into pure metals, which are used for different purposes for the use of human beings. Then natural oil and gas, uh, present in the form of crude oil, and it can be taken to a refinery, oil refinery, where it can be converted into different ingredients by fractional distillation, like LPG, petrol and diesel, wood, naphtha, paraffin wax, bitumen, etc. So these are some of these resources are in the category of renewable resources, like water. Water is abundantly available in nature. Air, it is an envelope of air existing all around us. Again, it is abundantly available. So these are non called renewable sources. Whereas the fossil fuels, the coal, the petrol, the diesel, the crude oil, and the non-renewable minerals are all in the non-renewable category. So this is the slide which is explaining the nutrient cycling I was talking about, the nitrogen present in the air, and the all the vegetable matter as well as the animal matter. Once it becomes dead, this dead organic matter decomposed by the help of decomposers that are bacteria and viruses. Then it is converted into inorganic material in the soil, and then finally this again converts back into organic matter in the form of plant growth, and this cycle continuously goes on. It's called the nutrient cycling. And due to human population growth, due to human activities, the increase in the human activities, this degradation in the natural capital is taking place. For example, here we have shown the cutting down of forests. Uh, People talk about the forest or the rainforest in the Amazon River basin. That is a major part, constituting a major part of Brazil. So, for various reasons, uh, creating open spaces for providing habitation to human beings, for the construction of buildings, for the construction of housing colonies, then this wood to be used in different industries like paper manufacturing, for building construction industry, for furniture making, and some varieties of wood which are very, very costly, like sandalwood. The international smugglers and poachers cut down the trees of the sandalwood and sell it in the international market, smuggle it out for their financial gains. So it is due to the ever growing human population, requirement of habitation, and human greed, which is responsible for all round natural capital degradation taking place on earth. And if we try to sum up the main causes of environmental problems on earth, one, the foremost obviously is the population growth, uncontrolled indiscriminate growth of population, requiring large quantities of food grains, requiring large quantity of habitation, construction of houses, infrastructure development. So all this requirement is due to this population growth. Then unsustainable resource use. We have sufficient resources on the earth. If we plan and manage it, uh, we change our habits, try to learn and follow the principles of live and let live, the resources are sufficient. Human beings have been living on this planet Earth since the time immemorial, as we have just seen hundreds and thousands of years. But what has happened in the last few decades that have made the planet very, very unsustainable and created a lot of environmental problems? That is using certain ways of life, certain technological tools and other things like these big cars, use of air conditioners on a large scale, and uh, industries in which engineered systems have not been properly installed for the reduction of air pollution, water pollution, soil pollution, so on. So poverty is the mother of all problems, as they say, that in underdeveloped countries where we have more uh, poverty, the pollution is also more and the burden on the natural resources is also more. So if you want to remove environmental problems, it is directly related to poverty alleviation. Then the environmental costs of reducing pollution, because you know that if you want to reduce air pollution coming from industries or from thermal power plants or any place, you have to set up wastewater treatment plants, you have to set up air pollution control devices in industries and in automobiles and other places. So bringing down pollution, preserving and conserving environment, it has a cost, and we have to bear this cost if you want to bring about uh, earth environment which will not be having a negative effect on our health. So we have to make these compromises. And trying to manage and simplify nature without having knowledge about how it works. So the people who are expert in the field of environmental studies, environmental science and environmental engineering should be made responsible to fight with these problems, who are expert at doing so. As you know that the role of engineers is to provide engineering solutions to human problems at a minimum possible cost. So for developing countries like our India, we have to provide amicable solutions, economical solutions, and which can be adapted easily by the general human population living in the rural areas. That is very, very important. So what is the path to sustainability? We have to conserve and protect the natural capital by avoiding, by preventing, by reducing the degradation of this natural capital. We have to find out solutions which are not easy to adapt, to apply, but not even impossible. And uh, we have to consider and talk about the topics like trade-off. For example, planting of trees which can be grown in open areas of land does not require much minerals and water, but after a certain duration time, they can be uh, utilized for paper manufacturing or for use to be used in building construction industry, uh, and the farmers can get good money from it. So this is another technique which can be used for sustainability. And every individual matter, that is not only the scientists, not only the engineers, every single individual has a role to play in achieving sustainability. And this we can do with the help of uh, people belonging to the educated class. They can bring about the change in the society, that is by creating awareness. For example, the Honorable Supreme Court of India has made it compulsory that the knowledge and the environmental studies will be taught to the school children from the school level itself, then also at the college level and the higher education. Like you are attending this lecture, the purpose of this type of lecture is to create awareness amongst the educated people so that we can further spread this awareness in the society to the underprivileged people, to the less educated people, people living in the rural areas. And when all of the human population, the citizens will be involved in this process with the knowledge of the sound science, we can certainly bring about a change and try to achieve sustainability. So when we talk about earth resources, God or nature has uh, given this abundantly to us. We are blessed. Our planet Earth is blessed with these resources. So whatever we obtain from environment to fulfill our requirement, that we call as a resource. It may be a sunlight that is coming to us from the sun, or the petroleum that is available below the surface of the earth, and we can utilize it by certain processes that we've just discussed. So solar energy is the perpetual resource, and some of the sources are renewable, that I had told you, the renewable sources abundantly available in nature: the wind, the solar energy, the heat of the earth. As we go below the surface of the earth, the temperature rises. So the outermost layer of the earth is called the crust. And as you go below the depth of the earth, there is a central portion that is called the mantle. And the innermost part is called the core. So as we move from the crust through the mantle to the core, the temperature goes on increasing to a level that inside the mantle or in the core, all the rocks are in the molten state in the form of magma. And when there are certain cracks or open spaces or interstitial spaces on the earth's surface through the volcanoes, this magma comes out in the form of lava. So this heat energy below the surface of the earth can be tapped, can be converted into geothermal energy. Then water energy, or what we call as the hydropower, energy from the biomass, both from vegetable sources, the plant sources, and the animal sources, and solar energy. So all, and there are many more. So these are the examples of renewable sources of energy. We have fertile soil to grow agriculture products, the food grains for human beings. We need fresh air to breathe in, the oxygen, a basic component of air that is a basic requirement for respiration for all the living beings, provided by the forests and the trees, which are called the lungs of the environment, and the grasslands, the temperate zone, savanna grasslands, all these areas which provide sustainability for, say, thriving of different species of living beings, maintaining the biodiversity. So if we want to get the sustainable yield of all the renewable sources of energy without reducing the available supply, we have to work on certain aspects and try to understand the exploitation of the natural resources that is taking place all around us. So for that, we have to understand the importance of non-renewable sources also, which are limited in nature, like the metallic mineral resources, the crude oil, the natural gas, the coal, and the nuclear energy also. So all these are having limited resources, but as per the latest scientific research, the scientists are suggesting that there are certain places we are finding new, say, oil fields or nuclear sources of energy, or we are finding the new mineral resources at some new places on below the surface of the earth. Maybe we have not found it earlier, but we are finding it now. They may not be have been created now, but millions of years ago. So this slide gives you a holistic view of all resources available on planet Earth, which can be divided into different categories, like resources into perpetual and non-renewable sources. Then perpetual resources into two categories: direct solar energy and other sources like winds, tides, flowing water. Then non-renewable fossil fuels, metallic minerals and non-metallic minerals, and the renewable sources, fresh air, fresh water, fertile soil, all the biodiversity, including plants and animals. So, having discussed the natural capital and why the degradation of natural capital is taking place, we have to now discuss about the solutions, because achieving or targeting sustainable development or achieving sustainability means discussing about the solutions which are not easy to achieve, solutions which are not even impossible to achieve. So you must have seen it everywhere, this sign, 3 R's, or three basic principles of sustainability: reduce, reuse, and recycle. So these three terms uh, tells us a lot about our efforts as environmental scientists, as environmental engineers, as the people who try to learn the basic aspects of sustainable development, is how to reduce pollution by reduce, and recycle. We will discuss it. So, reusing means any type of, say, storage, say, material, like, that for storing water in our houses, in our refrigerators, we use different types of bottles. These bottles can be made of glass, these can be made of plastics, and we purchase different types of food grade items. Uh, for example, the pickles, the juices, um, and honey, etc. These are again available in the market in tin cans, in glass bottles, in plastic bottles. So the basic thing to reduce the solid waste is reusing these articles again. So what the industry is aiming at, collection back of these bottles, whether these are plastic bottles or glass bottles or tin cans or the cardboard cartons, uh, which are non-biodegradable in nature. That is, the bacteria cannot decompose these materials, and they can be purchased back from the end user, and in the industry they can be cleaned up again and to be used again for filling up the, say, food items or processed food materials for which these have been used earlier again and again, thereby reducing the total volume of solid waste, which is a big problem nowadays in big cities. You know that there are huge, say, mountains of garbage, huge mountains of solid waste, some of which may be biomedical waste, some of which may be hazardous waste, or of different types. This problem is there, how to dispose it off. So this solid waste management is a separate independent topic, a subject which scientists are working research day and night to find out ways and means to get rid of this large mountains or hills of solid waste that are generated in big cities. So reuse is one such thing that we can do to reduce the volume. The second is by reusing it, obviously we are going to reducing it, we are reducing this waste. And recycling is that collecting solid waste, and collection itself is also a mechanized technique in all the developed societies. Not what you see outside your locality or in your neighborhood. Our civic bodies like Nagar Nigam, they collect the solid waste from house to house, but uh, the technique of collecting the solid waste is not proper, what it should be, what is existing in the developed countries. The solid waste is being collected from the bins, large size bins being placed on the busy streets, on the roads, in market areas, near schools and colleges. And this is done during the daytime hours from 9 a.m. in the morning to 11, sometimes up to 12, where school children are going to their schools or even coming back. The shopkeepers are going to open their shops, and all the other people, the market is abuzz with all the activity. And when this solid waste is being transferred from a bin to a collection or a haul vehicle, this solid waste is being uh, all the parts being blown up with the air. You can say the bad smell is spreading, the bacteria and virus that has been breeding, and the insects spreading this waste in the entire area. The birds are attracted and creating all sort of nuisance. So the correct method of solid waste disposal is in all the developed countries, you will find that they have selected a day or two. In some countries, it is Thursday night. In some countries, it is weekend, that is Saturday or Sunday. And that too at the wee hours of the night, between 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the morning, when most of the people are sleeping. And the collection vehicle comes, and they have automated bins. It lifts the bins with the robotic arm. There is no need for any manual intervention. And it is the waste is converted, which has been kept in the biodegradable bags by the people at the selected locations, being transferred into the hauling vehicles without any nuisance, any say bad smell or any insect or bacteria coming out of it. Then all these collection vehicles taking this entire solid waste to a common collections facility center outside the city, where this waste is segregated first. What is the meaning of segregation? Separating it. First, biodegradable waste is separated, and the non-biodegradable component, which cannot be degraded by bacteria, is separated. Then we can separate other articles, rubber, plastics, paper, cardboard, uh, glass, metals, etc., etc. All these things. And biodegradable component includes the peels of, for example, vegetables and fruits, our kitchen waste, paper. All this can be degraded by the bacteria. This is called biodegradable component of the waste. So what we do is, first we uh, utilize this waste for recycling purpose. For example, if it is a demolition solid waste, a building has been demolished or has been fallen down, it contains pieces of bricks, it contains pieces of plaster, pieces of concrete. So all this is called demolition solid waste. It can be used for land filling, or for construction of creating an embankment for construction of a road or a railway line, or it can be used for filling as a filling material. So this is removed and sent there. So in this way, some volume of solid waste is reduced. Then the recycling is done. All these components are sent to the respective recycling industries. For example, plastic waste is sent to the plastic industry for making some useful articles. The rubber is sent to the rubber industry, metals to the metal industry, and so on. So in this way, we reduce from 30 to 40% the solid waste, and the remaining, which cannot be reused, which cannot be recycled, the biodegradable component is sent for specific say treatment systems. For example, composting technique. What we do in composting, we take this biodegradable component of the solid waste, and with the help of aerobic bacteria, convert this waste into biomanure or biofertilizer. So this biomanure and biofertilizer, this can be utilized by people in their individual houses also, for say as a manure in their own lawn or their kitchen garden. It can be made available to the farmers at the village panchayat level, or even in the city for say using as a biomanure or a biofertilizer in their agricultural field. So it has two benefits. On one hand, we are reducing or disposing of the solid waste. On the other hand, we are minimizing the use of chemical fertilizers. For example, I told you that we require nitrogen, phosphorus as the two basic minerals. So for nitrogen, we use urea, which is a chemical fertilizer. Again, for phosphorus, we are using diammonium phosphate, DAP, which is again a chemical fertilizer. So this chemical fertilizer, it is having a negative impact on the environment in many ways. If the farmers use these chemical fertilizers indiscriminately, the concentration of these chemicals, they are chemicals. So this concentration is increasing in the soil, and when the rainfall takes place, these chemicals combine with the rainwater and they infiltrate and percolate down the soil to contaminate our groundwater resources. You will be surprised to know that in the last few decades, we now have certain micropollutants. They are finding their way into our groundwater resources, our aquifers. One such example is these chemical fertilizers. There are certain other examples like pesticides. Again, we are using the pesticides in the agricultural fields for different types of chemicals, for killing of pests, for killing of fungus, fungicides, for killing of rodents, rodenticides, and several other category. The broad term that we use here is pesticides. So WHO, World Health Organization, has identified about 12 or 1 dozen such persistent organic pollutants, which are mainly chemicals, industrial chemicals like polychlorinated biphenyls or other chemicals, and many of these are these pesticides, which include DDT, which are very common. You must have heard about it, dichlorodiphenyl trichloroethane, then Myrex, toxaphene, etc., etc. There are many. So all these chemicals are very, very deadly. They are cancer causing. They are carcinogenic compounds, and most of us are depending on the groundwater. We drink groundwater. Either the Nagar Nigam is supplying it to us in the form of water distribution system, or in the cities where we don't have a water distribution system, we are taking out this water from below the surface of the earth. Previously, we were taking out from level 1, around 120 feet. Now in Aligarh, we are taking about 250 feet, that is level 2. All these groundwater, it is having certain quantity of micropollutants like pesticides. So nobody thinks about this. We have never thought about that any groundwater that we are drinking is laced with these micropollutants. Not only pesticides, heavy metals, chemical fertilizers, pharmaceutical compounds, and now radioactive compounds also. So the basic reason for increase in the prevalence of cancer is, this is one of the reasons. If you talk about talk to the doctors or the scientists, they will tell you that this is a major problem. You see every day any person around our society, our locality, in our friend circle, in our workplace, somebody or the else is affected by this deadly disease, cancer. What is cancer? If you talk in the layman term, you know that our basic unit in our bodies are the tissues and the cells. So there is a normal mechanism in the human body. The old cells die and the new cells are formed in the body to take their place. But due to some reason, if the formation of new cells is happening at a very fast rate, proliferation of the formation of cells, so this is called a growth, formation of growth in the human body. And if this growth is benign, it is not of a major problem. The doctors do a surgical operation and remove this growth. But the problem is if this growth is malignant in nature, it is called cancer. So in medical terms, we call them sarcomas and carcinomas. And you know that cancer is of all parts of human body from head to toe, you know, of the skin, blood, or all organs of human bodies and tissues, you name it, the cancer is there. And according to the latest Lancet Journal of Medicine report, they are saying that by the year 2050, India will become the cancer capital of the world. That means the largest number of cancer patients will be in India. And the two major reasons for this, one is all around pollution. The water we are drinking is highly polluted. The food that we are eating is having pollution. The air we are breathing is in highly polluted. So I haven't talked about air as yet. We will be talking about in the subsequent slides if time permits. So this is an important thing that we should, the awareness about which we should create in society. If we are talking about sustainability, we have to think about that what problems the developed societies, the Western world, the countries of Europe, USA, and even China were facing about 50 years back, we are facing them now. And our development, especially our industrial development, is taking place now. But at what cost? We have brought about the green revolution. We have become self-reliant in production of agriculture products, the food grains, but at what cost? How much danger or how much, let's say, damage we have caused to the environment by indiscriminate use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides. Then the second major thing that is responsible for causing cancer in our country, which is not a problem in other countries, is adulteration of all food items. That is not the topic of discussion here in this presentation today, but this is a problem. You go to market to purchase anything from milk to food grains to any type of even life-saving drugs. They are adulterated. They are fake. And it is also playing a havoc with our health. So these two problems all around pollution plus adulteration of food items, that is responsible for so much increase of cancer around us, and it is a major problem. So this recycling is very, very important. I was talking about the solid waste management. So after recycling, whatever is left, if it is biodegradable, it is converted into biocompost or biomanure by using techniques like aerobic composting, by vermicomposting, including by using earthworms. And the non-biodegradable component is converted into innoxious form by techniques, by devices like incineration, pyrolysis, and gasification. So if we have, if we talk about, I was talking about a biomedical waste. So you must have visited pathology labs for testing your blood. You must have visited several nursing homes or small hospitals, or even bigger medical colleges, private and government. So doctors use different types of bandages, different types of swabs. They put on plasters on people's bones which have got fractured. When they remove them, this become a part of the biomedical waste. And doctors use rubber gloves. They use plastic syringes, plastic dextrose bottles, surgical instruments may be made of metal or plastics. So all these things are in contact with the patients, some of them having live bacteria or virus. And some of these bacteria or virus are so deadly that there is no cure at the present time. For example, HIV, AIDS, hepatitis A and B, etc. So if we cannot dispose of this solid waste directly into the society. Why? Because in this way the disease will spread. So every big medical college or at the city level, we have this machine, incinerator, where we make this biomedical waste, we burn it down at high temperature and pressure, creating very little air pollution, and it is made innoxious. Innoxious means which is not harmful for the human beings. That is one technique. Pyrolysis and gasification are the other two techniques. I'm not going into the technical details. So that is the entire technique, entire method of how to dispose of the solid waste. Some part may be dumped outside the city, not the way we do it. You must have seen it is a common practice in our cities that we clean our house and throw the garbage outside the house on the road, or we give it to the Nagar Nigam people. Many times they collect it and burn it and become very happy about burning the solid waste. So burning of solid waste is the worst way of disposing it of. If you see somebody burning the solid waste, please stop that person. Because when we burn the solid waste, we are solving one problem and creating other. And sometimes creating other problem, that is air pollution by release of oxides of carbon and sulfur and nitrogen, as well as some deadly, when we burn plastics or polythene bags, deadly poisonous gases like dioxins and furans, they are released into there. Again, they are carcinogenic compound, cancer causing compound. So stop that person. This is not the correct way. So what they do, they just take it and throw it outside the city, giving a very bad view to all the people who are entering the city. Sometimes it is a tourist city, for example, Agra. So various tourists come to see Taj Mahal. Sometimes many international tourists come. So they are coming in the city and they are welcomed by this open landfill site in which there is a dump yard of the solid waste. A lot of bad smell is emanating from there. Insects are spreading. The birds are spreading the waste in the entire area, causing lot of problems. So this is not a good site to see. The solution is construction of sanitary landfill. What is a sanitary landfill? Sanitary landfill is a natural depression or a man-made landfill in which the base is provided with a high density polyethylene lining, HDPE lining, and over which we spread the solid waste and soil in layers. The top layer of solid waste is covered with the soil, and then we do the landscaping over it. And in this landscaping, we either plant the grass or put up flowering plants, which gives a very beautiful view to the viewer's eye. And there is no problem of emanating gases or bad smell or insects or birds being attracted also. But when the rainfall takes place, the rainwater goes in the landfill. Whatever chemicals, whatever pollutants are existing there, the rainwater say combines and creates a deadly liquid inside the landfill that is called leachate. So this leachate is a big problem, for which we have put up this HDPE lining I was talking about. If this HDPE lining is not provided the base, this leachate will infiltrate and percolate again down the soil and contaminate groundwater. So we cannot allow this to happen. So what we have done is that we put this lining and provided under drainage system through which the leachate is drained out of this sanitary landfill system and is sent to the wastewater treatment plant for further treatment. So that is another technique. So these are all the techniques that we use for solid waste disposal in developed cities. In India also we are using all these techniques now, and in our B or C class cities, especially the smart city, you know that Aligarh has also been a part of the smart city project. Various projects or construction activities have been taking place. So this disposal of solid waste being done in a mechanized manner is one of the say targets of this solid waste management in the legal city. Also, we are working on it. Nagar Nigam and other NGOs are also working on it. So we will talk about the different countries when we talk about the levels of sustainability, or rather how unsustainable we are. So I have told you that affluence or the economic growth of any country is a parameter which measures sustainability, because sustainability is directly proportional to the economical growth of the country. So we define it in terms of either GDP or the per capita GDP of that country. Then economic development, we define some countries as more developed. Some examples are given here. The countries of North America like USA, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, and most of Europe. Then less developed countries, many countries in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. So here you can see in this world map, they have tried to separate the countries by their affluence, by their economic development or the gross national income per capita. So you can see that India is in the lower middle income group. So again, providing a comparison of the world trends. These are the statistics about the developed countries, and below it, the statistics of the developing countries. So population in the developed countries is much less as compared to the developing countries or underdeveloped countries. Population is much high. Again, population growth in the developing countries is more. The rate of the population increase is more. But the 85% of the wealth and income is in the developed countries. Only 15% is in the developing countries. As far as the resource use is concerned, about 90% of all the resources are being used by the developed country. Only 10 to 12% by the developing. And as far as creating pollution and waste is concerned, 75%, 3/4 of all the waste being created by the developed countries, only 25% created by the developing countries like India. So that was the reason for countries like India not agreeing to the international treaties or conventions in terms of reducing the pollution levels is concerned. So the developed countries was dictating us that all the countries should reduce their carbon footprint or their ecological footprint equally, whereas the view of countries like India was that we are polluting less and we are using much less natural resources as compared to you. We have less technology, we have less money. You have all the technology, you have all the money. So it is not judicious. It is not proper to ask the developing countries whose development is taking place now to compromise with their industrial development, to compromise with their economic development, and reducing their carbon footprint at the same level as with the developed country. So later on, the developed countries began to realize that the efforts that are needed to bring about sustainability have to be at the global level. It is not possible that only a selected few countries decide and sign a treaty is going to solve the problem. No, it is a global problem. We have to work together. And to work together, we have to address the problems faced by the developing countries. That is why they agreed that the rate of cutting down, the targets that have been set up to cutting down of carbon emissions should be proportional to the amount the countries are polluting to the environment or have been polluting to the environment the last 50 years or so. Secondly, They have agreed to transfer the latest technology to control pollution to the underprivileged, to the developing countries free of cost, and provide more financial resources for these concentrated efforts by the international monetary organizations like IMF and the World Bank. So, having done that, these developing as well as developed countries sat together in Copenhagen in Denmark and have signed a treaty for bringing down the carbon emissions, for climate change control, and for other things to bring out sustainability on earth. We had already talked about what environmental degradation is and why it is happening at a very fast rate, and why it is also called as the natural capital degradation. Uh, what is the meaning of these terms: air pollution, climate change, soil erosion, forests are cutting down, forests area is being converted into open lands for construction of buildings. This has decreased the wildlife habitats, resulting in extinction or endangering of species. Then water table is going down, aquifer depletion. We are taking more water, replenishing less. So all round water pollution and problems existing. It is called natural water capital degradation. So if we talk about what are the sources of pollution responsible for these different types of pollution, we divide into point sources and non-point sources. And the pollutants we divide into biodegradable and non-biodegradable type of pollutants. So this is the example of the smoke coming out of the chimney of an industry. So this is an example of point source of air pollution. This is a solid waste plastic bottles, and more of in this single-use plastic waste, what we use one time and throw, like the packaged drinking water you purchase from the market from under different trade names, Bisleri, Kinley, and Aquafina, and the cutlery, the plastic plates, the plastic spoons, and other disposable items that we purchase from the market for small functions in our houses and offices, use it and then throw it in the garbage. These are the non-point source of land pollution as well as water pollution. Then obviously, when there will be a pollution, either in the air, water, soil, or any other place, it will be having an effect on our health. It is not that it will not have any effect on our health. So we already talked about drinking contaminated water. So if you drink infected water with pathogens, it is responsible for causing certain waterborne diseases like typhoid, like amoebic dysentery, like gastroenteritis, and so on. Even poliomyelitis virus is also a part of infected water. And we have already talked about the solid waste and soil contamination. What is the effect of soil contamination even on the underground water, that is aquifers? Air pollution is also becoming a major problem of the day. Now you can see every newspaper in the country talking about large scale air pollution to the dangerous level and beyond that. In national capital region in Delhi and in satellite towns around Delhi, that is a part of NCR region, Gurgaon and Ghaziabad, Noida, Greater Noida. So previously, if we talk about the 10 major cities in the world that were having high levels of air pollution, 5 or 6 cities were from China, but now they have having done away with their air pollution problem in a larger way. And now out of 10 big cities, 7 to 8 are of cities of India, and that too some of the major cities of NCR region and Uttar Pradesh, including Ghaziabad and Kanpur. Now smaller cities like Aligarh, all the air pollution levels are increasing. Not only outdoor air pollution, And now the latest research is going on the indoor air pollution inside our houses, inside our schools, our colleges, and even hospitals. So this is also going up rather. And when we breathe continuously in an air having an air quality index more than 400, in Delhi now or in last few years, the air quality index have gone beyond 800,000 or even 1200. So that is equivalent to smoking 30 cigarettes a day. And the scientists have predicted that it lowers the average life of an individual if we are living in a city of like Delhi or the NCR region and breathing in continuously in the air which is highly polluted. It reduces the average age from 2 to 4 years, which is visible there. It starts from small irritation problems in the nose, resulting in cough and sneezing, then developing of headache and fatigue, to problems in breathing in our lungs or the respiratory systems, inflammation in our alveoli, that is called alveolitis, in our bronchus, bronchitis, and then serious allergy in diseases like asthma is there. So doctors give the medicines or the puffs for treating the problems, but once a person is affected by allergy and the inner lining of the lungs gets inflamed, it's very difficult to treat it. It is very difficult to bring it in the original form. So all cause of problems, because of it, even lung cancer is being reported. In 2021, 2021, this COVID-19 played a very large scale havoc. Many thousands and hundreds and thousands of people died. And the air pollution combined with this COVID virus has made the things even worse for the people getting affected by it. And the doctors are talking about the cardiovascular diseases being increased because of this air pollution. Normally, we don't think that, okay, this air pollution is having the effect on our respiratory system, but how it is possible it is having an effect on the cardiovascular system, the heart? It is having, because you must have heard about the blockage of the coronary arteries, which takes place due to the accumulation of fat or lipids in our coronary arteries, the arteries that supply blood and oxygen to our heart muscles. So what happens is that in the lungs, the oxygen is being transferred to the hemoglobin, which carries the oxygen to different cells and tissues of the human body. Even heart cells require oxygen. So what is happening is that the particulate matter, the particles having size less than 2.5 microns, these are finding their way into our arteries, and this is combining with the fat or lipids present in the blood to form a plaque, which is increasing the rate at which the coronary artery is being blocked, responsible for causing heart attacks and myocardial infarction. So this problem is again increasing. It is though it is a lifestyle disease, but it is accelerated. The rate is being accelerated due to the air pollution. So you can see that all type of pollution is harmful for the human beings. Now again, talking about solutions, some time is left, so we'll be discussing about the solutions. We have to do pollution cleanup. We have to identify the problems. We have to create the awareness and use the engineered systems, low cost technology, because in country like India, we require a low cost technology. Only then this technology will be helpful for the common man. Otherwise, for a treating of water, if you use or you provide or you discuss about a 1 lakh rupees of water treatment system, most of the people in the country will not be able to afford it. Only a few affluent people, the industrialists or the people who are rich, they will be able to afford it. So it is of no use. So as engineers, as scientists, we have to work on providing low cost solutions for the people living in the rural areas, for the people belonging to the low social economic groups. Then this is a problem that is happening in our country also, over exploiting of the renewable sources. People are thinking that they switch on the submersible pump in their house and it is visible that the water is flowing down of the tank. If you go and tell them that the water is flowing, they say that it is my electricity, I am paying the bill, it is my water, I am taking it out from below my house. What you have the problem, you don't should not be discussing about it. You should tell them that it is not so. Okay, somebody might be paying the bill, electricity bill, or the water may be coming out below the surface of the earth from the aquifer below his or her house, but it is not a, it is a natural resource which is the national property. Rather, it is a global property. And we should not waste it. We should not create problems for the environment. We owe it to our future generations. We owe it to our children. If we are going to finish all the water, if we are going to finish all the groundwater aquifers, pollute the air to a level where it will be impossible for us to breathe, what environment we are going to give to our children, to our future generations? That is a big question. So that is why I told you in the beginning that ethics is very, very important when we want to understand, we want to create awareness, or we want to implement certain technologies or tools also. Government alone cannot do this, and even NGOs cannot alone do this. For this, the law enforcing agencies and the support of the common man, the public itself, who have to understand these issues, these problems, and the effect these are having on our health, and they have to cooperate. Then only we can achieve success. We cannot achieve success by identifying the problem and providing short-term solutions like we had done in Delhi. People talk about using odd and even number of cars to reduce air pollution, or schooling, closing down schools. It's not a solution. For how many days you're going to close the school? Pollution is around the year. And if you try to reduce the air pollution by reducing the number of cars moving on the road by odd even formula, people are going to find a solution for that as well. They are going to purchase two cars, one with odd and one with even number, or even if you allow the ladies to use the car, they will ask the ladies in their houses to learn driving and they'll be started doing so. So it's not going to solve the problem. We have to identify the problem. We have to create awareness on a large level in a country like ours. It is very difficult to create awareness even in rural areas. Amongst all this, we are more than 130 say crore population. So to inseminate knowledge and ideas and create awareness is also a very difficult task. And then persuading people to adopt to newer practices, changing their lifestyles is not easy. So the ecological footprint have to be identified. I had told you the meaning of ecological footprint, the amount of biologically productive land and water needed to provide the people in the region with indefinite supply of renewable sources. So what is the meaning of being a state sustainable? That whatever is the biological capacity for replenishment, our ecological footprint is more than that. So the problem is how to reduce it. So this in this slide is a general explanation is done that what is a carbon footprint and why this carbon is creating a problem for the environment, why it is causing climate change, why it is causing problems like global warming and all sorts of problems associated with it, like rising of sea levels, inundation of low-lying coastal areas, melting of glaciers, and so on and so forth. So again, comparing the natural resource consumption in the rural areas with the people living in the urban areas. Then natural capital use and degradation, comparing some big developed countries with smaller countries like India. Again, we can see the difference between unsustainable and sustainable living, depending on this ecological footprint. So this is a global human footprint map, which shows us the sustainability or unsustainable living in the different countries. So this is a model that has been developed. It's called IPAT model. to calculate the level of sustainability or unsustainability we are living as a country. This I is the environmental impact of the activities that we are doing, and we can calculate this environmental impact as a product of population, affluence, and technology. Then here we have to try to show the slides, a comparison of this iPad being, yes.
So can you take the previous slide? I need to check. Just one, sir. The previous slide.
Back slide, previous one.
Yes, sir. Previous one.
Okay.
जी अरशद साहब बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया, आपने बहुत अच्छा लोगों को जानकारी दी है और मैं समझता
जी।
हूँ कि ये डेली लाइफ से जुड़ा हुआ है। हमारी जो लाइफ
जी।
स्टाइल है वो उसको हमें फॉलो करना चाहिए। तो
जी
मैं
जी
समझता हूँ कि जो रिसोर्स ये जो डेलीगेट्स हैं, पार्टिसिपेंट्स हैं, उनको इंटरेस्ट जनरेट हुआ होगा और अपने आप को थोड़ा सा रिफॉर्म करने के लिए। तो बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आपका, आपने वक्त निकाला अपना, एंड यू हैव डिलीवर्ड वेरी गुड लेक्चर on the theme which has been given to you. Really, we can
Thank you.
appreciate like anything.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
So
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
we will take leave now. Again, we will join at 12:30. Okay, thank you.
Fine,
Thank
sir.
you very
Thank
much.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
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 Thank you, sir.